Okay, this is Bethany, who says, I've been a Christian for 6 years. Before I got saved, I practiced Wicca or witchcraft for 5 years.
Got saved? Getting saved implies that you were somehow in danger. Firefighters save people from burning buildings. Doctors save people's lives. You were not saved. You simply bought into the extreme Christian right-wing propaganda that all religions in the entire world are constructs of the devil. That you must accept Jesus Christ into your heart or go to an eternal pit of hellfire for eternity. You were not saved from anything. You actually gave in.
All I can say is, wow. That statement was very full of hate. She said that she was saved. She did not give any descriptions about her beliefs in any other way. And so I would have to say Loken was in a very bad mood when he made this video, because he made these statements that she wasn't saved, she gave in, and now she is part of the right-wing conservative Christian mentality. Wow. That is kind of the self-righteous attitudes that a lot of us pagans wanted to get away from when we were Christians, and you just gave that out, and you're Wiccan.
I stopped when I had my first daughter. Still today, I get tempted.
Tempted? Do you mean occasionally you get glimpses of clarity and see the truth that not all the other religions in the entire world are constructs of the devil?
Again, I'd have to say that Lyle Loken is just very mad right now. Temptation happens. I believe it happens for all spiritual people, all religious people, because we have these moments in our lives where we have to stop and think about our beliefs. And a lot of the research that I've done, we're supposed to always challenge our beliefs, always question them. And so here this person was questioning her beliefs. She's feeling like she's tempted, drawn in by something, and Lyle Loken basically goes, a moment of clarity, so that her Christian beliefs are wrong and that thinking some other way is right. This is anti-productive and disgusting.
Hello YouTube, so this is Loken again. So, I just wanted to go over a couple of books that I'm going to be reading, and I am really excited about this because there are some religions in this world that really demand, you really have to dedicate yourself to it, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of trouble, and there's a lot of sacrifice, and there's a lot of rules and responsibilities, and ethics and principles, and sometimes you just want to set those aside. You don't want to think about those. You just want to, get down to your own belief, Screw the rest. I just want what I want, okay? So, that's. The other thing which I think is really going to be very exciting is it's kind of a hodgepodge pagan approach to Himalayan Buddhism. And for those who don't know, Himalayan Buddhism is a very demanding study. You have to give up sex. You really give all of your time and dedication. You have to move to the Himalayas to become a Himalayan monk, and you go through various degrees. With this type of eclectic pagan Himalayan Buddhism, you can just kind of skip all of that and just practice it and call yourself a Himalayan Buddhist, which I think is really nice because I don't want to spend all that time and energy to actually dedicate myself to this very demanding religion. I just want to get the title, and I don't want to have to deal with all of that, so I'm really excited about that. Would desire. Now, the one thing I'm kind of wondering about some of the requirements for being an Islamic Wiccan is that every time you say the name of Kurnanos, you have to say peace be upon him. So, and there's no pictures. You look in the book, and I'll show you a picture of it right here. But for Kurnanos, there's no picture of him. And then the mother goddess just has a turban, or what do you call it, a habib around her. And I was kind of looking over some of the rituals when you're casting a circle and you're doing all that. You have to say peace be upon him every time you say the male god's name. And again, the dietary requirements for being an Islamic Wiccan is very demanding. because everything has to be halal. But, I'm really looking forward to it because, it comes down to screw the other religions. I'm going to do what I want. I want to get the title. I want to get the satisfaction of being able to practice whatever I want to practice. So I'm going to be reading Hasidic heathenism this next week. And then after that, I'm going to study this eclectic Wiccan Himalayan Buddhism, which I'm really looking forward to. And then I'm going to end it with Islamic Wicca. And this has been Lilokin. And, I'll keep you appraised of how everything is going. Thank you, and blessed be.
At the end of that last clip, he says that this was a joke, that he was trying to make a point, that people cannot use different religions and treat them as decorations for our beliefs, that it's an insult to the different beliefs. And, the funny thing about it, he made this big joke about it, but that's what for me, I've been fighting for. I've been trying to tell all these eclectic Wiccans, hey guys, stop doing all this hodgepodge, throw crap together. You have to start with a basic tradition and learn it before you just throw all this stuff in together. I have seen Buddhist, Hindu, eclectic Wiccans, and I'm told, don't tell us about our spirituality. Don't condemn us because we're different. We're eclectic. We can do what we want, but I'm told that when I do it, I'm wrong. But here's Lilokin. Basically, he made fun of him, and he got away with it.
Because the subject at hand is really, in my opinion, it was a personal preference. We all have our own individual beliefs, and we have our own ideologies, and we have our way of worshiping that makes us feel connected with whatever it is that we perceive as our belief. So when I first heard of Christian Wicca and Christian paganism, immediately what came to my mind was it's an oxymoron. So let's get right into this before I get too far ahead of myself. The idea of calling oneself a Christo-pagan makes absolutely no sense. I'm just going to put my foot down right here. This is my flat-out opinion. It doesn't make any sense. It is like calling something up-down or black-white. It just doesn't make any sense.
You may disagree with the idea of Christo-paganism, but it would also fall into all the other eclectic pagan beliefs that are out there. And that is simply, we have to leave everybody alone. Everybody's supposed to be able to believe whatever they want. And so what if Lilokin thinks it doesn't make sense, that it's just off and all that? He should worry about his own spirituality and not worry about everybody else's. After all, that's what they tell me.
Now, again, I just would like to emphasize that these are my own opinions. I do not speak for all Wiccans, and all Wiccans may or may not agree with my viewpoints.
I also do not speak for all Wiccans or all pagans. But what I do is, when I see something that doesn't seem right, I grab books. I grab my reference material and I try to research it the best I can, and then if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if what I felt was wrong is proven wrong by books, I let people know. I'm trying to open up minds. And I am condemned for sticking my nose where it doesn't belong, while Lilokin kind of gets away with it.
So, the term Christian Wiccan. First of all, let's give each religion out there its due respect. Christianity deserves a certain amount of respect. Wicca deserves a certain amount of respect.
This, again, is a spot where I agree with Lilokin 100%. I might not like Christianity very well. I might not like Islam very well. But I try to give them the best respect that I can, as long as they don't push their business into my business. Well, I also believe that paganism deserves a lot of respect. And unfortunately, we do not get a lot of respect from people that aren't pagan and from people that are pagan. And they just, in my opinion, treat paganism as like a bad toy. That's the only way I can say it.
I've come to the conclusion that you cannot just slap two words together and create some new tradition and call it by the same names as those other two traditions. It's not only is it ridiculous, absurd, it's offensive. It's an insult to those religions. If you are going to take two religions, two separate religions, like let's say Judaism and Rastafarianism, and you're going to somehow force those two together, then come up with a different term for it. Don't call it Judeo-Rastafarianism. That doesn't make any sense because it no longer has anything to do with Judaism. It no longer has anything to do with Rastafarianism. It's some kind of bastardized melding of the two that you've done.
Lyle Loken and I are shooting 2 for 2 on this one right here. I agree with him on this one part, in a way. You know, I believe that you cannot just slap different religions together and say that you are Hindu, Wiccan, whatever. It's like he's saying, it's either Wiccan or it's Hindu. You know, it's either pagan or it's Christian. It is either Pastafarian or Adonist. You know, you can't just throw them all together. And if you are going to do this, he made the comment, come up with a different term for it. We'll also put it in a different category because if it's no longer Hindu and it's no longer Wiccan, thus it's also no longer pagan. It's something else. You want a standalone religion, well, take it outside of paganism then, please. Lyle Loken has been, hinting that I need to, back off the eclectics, that they are allowed to do whatever they want. But Lyle Loken, I want you to please answer one simple question. At what point does eclectic Wicca, eclectic paganism, become bastardizing? You use the word yourself. You're saying when you mix two religions that are not related together as bastardizing them. When do eclectic Wiccans start bastardizing religions? Can you please define that for me?
The same thing with, let's say, Hasidic heathenism. It doesn't make any sense. Islamic Wicca. Islamic Wicca does not make any sense. Those are two separate traditions. So it's not that it's an oxymoron. It is two individual religions deserving of absolute respect.
I can respect an individual religion. So if you want to be Hindu, great. If you want to be Christian, great. If you want to be a Gardnerian tradition Wiccan, great. But if you want to start mixing all these different religions together, this part here and this part there, and call it eclectic Wiccan, and thus you're allowed to do it, you're not showing respect to other religions, and thus I cannot show a lot of respect towards you. And again, I want to state this again. How is it that a lot of these YouTube young ladies allow people like Lyle Loken to say the exact same thing that I say, but I'm a mean bastard? In closing, what I would like to say is this. I don't know everything. I have a lot to learn. I'm not denying that. I'm not perfect. I'm not the nicest guy in the world either. If you go look at my introduction to my pagan lessons, the Pagan Open Circle, I say in that I would be learning things too. That is an admission that I don't know everything. The reason why I was doing the lessons was because then I get to learn too. Because I was trying to make it open, covering many different traditions, not just the Celtic-oriented one that I follow. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. So I'm going to make mistakes along the way, but I learn from them, and when I screw up, I will apologize for them. I'm not the nicest guy. This is one of the things I hate about society. A lot of people want to impose their ideals on what nice should be on everybody. Who I am is who I am. I'm not the nicest person in the world, but a lot of you don't know how nice I actually am. I have a bad temper. What you all have seen on Facebook is nothing compared to what I can be. You want to see angry? I did a video a few years back about the murder of an abortion doctor. I got angry then. You should see what happens when I get angry. And stop condemning me for not reaching your standards. My motivation is the advancement and protection of paganism. I find it very irritating when I see a lot of these young Wiccans, pagans, make a bunch of false claims that make up crap like crazy, and that they don't even follow the basic structure of Wicca. And whenever questioned, it is, well, I'm an eclectic. I can do whatever I want. I'm an eclectic Wiccan. Stop picking on me. Like the lady, that video I made that started this whole crap. I was seeing so many little holes into her path, and I wasn't trying to attack her. I was trying to help her. So, if you don't like who I am, that's fine. But just make sure that you hold everybody else up to the same standards as you hold me to. So if Lyle Loken can say some of the things that he said and, oh well, then you got to, oh well with me as well. So that is all for my little hypocrisy videos that I wanted to get done today. So everybody, please think about what I said. Yes, I know some of you are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. So everybody else, take care. Be at peace.